Hey there, Goblin Army. This is the Goblin King. It's Wednesday and I have another pop culture article for you all. This week's article involves a hobby that is near and dear to my heart. Something that I've been doing since around 1997. So you can imagine that I have a very deep attachment to it. That is, role-playing in general, with Dungeons and Dragons specifically. If any of you out there listening now have listened to some of my past rants, you'll have a pretty good idea of where I stand on the current state of D&D and Wizards of the Coast. I think it's fucking garbage. Now, to be frank, unlike many old heads, I don't have a lot of love for the old school D&D pre-WotC. Hell, I don't even have a great deal of fondness for the early WotC years. Though they were infinitely better than needing an advanced degree in calculus to figure out whether or not your character actually hit something. While 3.0 and 3.5 were an improvement in my opinion over the earlier rules, they still weren't quite there for me. Too much crunch. 4th edition was an MMO pandering trash. To my own mind, the point D&D got really good was in the early years of 5e. There was more of a focus on character building and storytelling with just enough crunch to keep things relatively fair and unbiased. I liked it. A lot. Then the Tumblr crowd came into the hobby and brought about the dark times. Knowingly or not, this turn of events was brought about almost entirely by such luminaries as Matt Mercer, Chris Hardwick, Dan Harmon, and Felicia Day. At least that's my thought on that. Now, I don't have any particular hate for any of these people. Hell, I adored Felicia Day for a long time. Yet, the fact of the matter is that had they kept the hobby amongst their friends and not brought it out into the forefront of popular culture, it might have remained a niche hobby that nobody gave a fuck about and kept its initial integrity and not been taken over by a bunch of Tumblr waste. However, I digress. The article that I'm wanting to discuss this evening comes from Kotaku. Oh, yeah. Check out the listing when I did a search for the thing in Google. Fucking pathetically disgusting. So this air quote author has a problem with Critical Role. I don't watch Critical Role. I watched 2 episodes, then the cast ordered a vegan pizza and I turned it off in disgust. Well, not entirely true. I did turn it off in disgust, but I had every intention of going back to watch it. Then I found other shit that captured my attention and never went back. Apparently, according to this thing, the group of pretty voice actors is starting up a new season and a new campaign. The setting is apparently styled after the Middle East and North Africa. Cool enough. I myself have a campaign setting that I'm styling on ancient Egypt and North Africa. I also have one I've been working on for 20 years or so that's styled on East Asia. That one takes precedent currently. Like I said, this so-called writer has a complaint about this new season, specifically the setting and the skin color of the cast. Why? I'll come right out and say it, because she's a fucking racist. She starts off this disgusting hit piece by acknowledging that Matt Mercer actually did do right and make the setting feel authentic to her and her cronies by bringing in sensitivity consultants to help with the production of the show. Dear fucking gods, sensitivity consultants. If that isn't a worthless job invented by worthless people who got gender studies degrees in college, I don't know what the fuck is. That being said, hey, at least Matt Mercer was supposedly trying, right? He'd have been better off getting historical experts, I think, but whatever. She goes on to state that the recently released trailer for the 3rd season is the crew of her little hissy fit. She'll come to that actual reason in a bit. However, right now she states that the trailer, which switches between the group exaggeratedly playing the game and the group dressed up as stereotypical explorers, is the real reason the group is getting so much flack right now. She states that them dressed up like that in the trailer cements their positions as outsiders to the setting and furthers the ideas of Orientalism through the eyes of colonizers. You legit can't make this tripe up. She then brings up a 40-year-old book written in 1978 to lend some sort of dubious credence to the utter shit she's spewing on the page, at which point she states that people from outside a culture, basically white people, are, quote, unable to present objective truths, unquote, about said cultures. She keeps the focus on the Middle East and North Africa, but the stated opinion is there, which actually clashes with the thoughts and opinions of every history class and historian and every history professor I've ever taken or spoken to. The idea is actually the exact opposite, that it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for a person from a particular nation or culture to look at their own history and culture in an entirely objective fashion. The reason being due to their own inherited biases through a sense of national or cultural pride, as part of their identity. They won't be able to look at their history and any bad shit that may have happened through an objective lens. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they'll want to gloss over the bad shit and try to paint their own history and culture in the most flattering light possible. Which is the exact arguments these fucktards make when they're talking about US history, right? Yet when we're talking about their own traditional country or culture, they're the only ones capable of being perfectly fucking objective? Give me a fucking break. She then goes on to talk about how the only way that the cast can lend this season any sort of authenticity is by darkening up the cast a bit since all of them are white. Because she's a fucking racist. She couches it in this inane argument that, even though it's a different setting, the players are still playing like they always play with the setting, just basically being window dressing. Yes, for most gamers, a setting is exactly that, window dressing. The focus is on the player's characters and the events unfolding around them. Putting a bunch of black or brown people in the cast isn't going to change that one whit. A black or brown person raised in the US in the 21st century, even if they're raised with more traditional parents, aren't necessarily going to act any different around a gaming table in a fictional setting. To state that they will by virtue of their skin color is just fucking generalizing and racist on two fronts, you twat. She then comes to the true point of her article, the money that Critical Role makes. As we all know, I think, it was leaked last October that Critical Role is by far the highest paid channel on Twitch, earning $9.6 million over the last 3 years. Clownfish TV brought this point up as well. That this bitch is just salty that a bunch of nerdy white voice actors, because she's racist, are earning bank for playing a game while she's probably earning a nice 6-figure salary to sit online and bitch on Kotaku. Although, probably not for much longer, since from what I've heard Kotaku is going under. Though I could be mistaken about which of these garbage websites it is that's going under right now. After that, she talks about how influential Critical Role is with WotC and how they've had sourcebooks modeled after their campaign settings. She also states that, quote, it's no exaggeration to say that the show wields an immense amount of influence over the Dungeons & Dragons community as a whole. Yeah, maybe to the mainstream Tumblr crowd that WotC caters to these days, my dear. However, most of the old heads and grognards like myself are going elsewhere for our role-playing entertainment these days. WotC can fuck off and burn. She closes off her article with an obvious threat, as you all can plainly see on the screen, right here. All in all, this was legitimately just a fucking hit piece on WotC in general and Critical Role in specific. Well, that's all I got for you on this one, Goblins. As always, my opinions are my own. Go take a look at this article for yourselves and form your own opinion. Do you feel she made a good case, or did I? Let me know what you thought in that handy section down below. While you're down there, join the Goblin Army and get your own natural 20 on life by crushing those like and subscribe buttons. I'll see you on the great movie review. Blitz.